The Path of Enlightenment, a journey with Gautama Buddha. In the ancient city of Vaishali, there lived a wealthy merchant named Anand. Renowned for his vast riches and lavish lifestyle, Anand's name was synonymous with prosperity. However, behind the facade of wealth and opulence lay a heart burdened with an insatiable void. Despite having everything he could desire, Anand was not at peace. His restless soul sought something more meaningful, something beyond the transient pleasures of material wealth. Anand often found himself wandering through the markets, observing the hustle and bustle, the exchange of goods, and the smiles of satisfaction on people's faces. Yet every smile he saw seemed fleeting, every satisfaction temporary. It puzzled him how momentary happiness could give life any real meaning. His thoughts frequently drifted to a wise teacher he had heard of, Gautama Buddha, who was said to have found the true path to happiness. One fateful day, Anand's curiosity overcame his skepticism. He decided to seek out this enlightened teacher. After a journey that took several days, he finally arrived at a serene grove where Buddha was said to be residing. The atmosphere was peaceful, with a gentle breeze rustling through the trees and birds chirping melodiously. As Anand approached, he saw Buddha sitting under a bodhi tree, surrounded by a group of followers. The sight of Buddha, with his calm demeanor and compassionate eyes, struck Anand profoundly. He felt a sense of peace he had never experienced before, just by being in Buddha's presence. Bowing respectfully, Anand said, "Great teacher, I am a wealthy man, but despite my riches, I feel an emptiness within. Can you help me find true happiness?" Buddha smiled gently and replied, "True happiness does not lie in material possessions, but in understanding the nature of life and the mind. Sit with me, Anand, and I will share with you the path to inner peace." Anand sat down, eager to listen. Buddha began, "The first truth is the truth of suffering. Life is inherently filled with suffering. Birth, aging, illness, and death. Even our desires and attachments cause suffering because they are impermanent and constantly changing." Anand nodded, recognizing the truth in Buddha's words. He had experienced the dissatisfaction that came from never-ending desires and the fleeting joy that possessions brought. "The second truth," Buddha continued, "is the cause of suffering. Our suffering stems from our desires and attachments. We crave and cling to things, people, and experiences, believing they will bring us lasting happiness, but they only lead to more suffering." Anand's mind raced, reflecting on how he had always believed that acquiring more wealth would fill his emptiness. Yet it had only led to greater longing and dissatisfaction. "The third truth," Buddha said, "is the cessation of suffering. By letting go of our desires and attachments, we can end our suffering. This does not mean we should renounce everything, but rather, we should cultivate a mind free from clinging." Anand felt a glimmer of hope. If he could learn to let go, perhaps he could find the peace he sought. Buddha's eyes twinkled as he continued. "The fourth truth is the path to the cessation of suffering, known as the Noble Eightfold Path. This path consists of right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration." Over the following days, Buddha elaborated on each aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path. Anand listened intently, absorbing every word. Right understanding, Buddha explained, is seeing the world as it truly is, understanding the nature of suffering and the impermanence of all things. Right thought involves cultivating thoughts of love, compassion, and non-attachment. Anand realized that his thoughts had always been dominated by greed and fear of loss. He understood he needed to change his mindset. Right speech, Buddha continued, is speaking truthfully, kindly, and purposefully. Right action is behaving ethically and compassionately, refraining from harming others. Anand vowed to speak and act with integrity and kindness from that moment forward. Right livelihood, Buddha said, means earning a living in a way that does not harm others and is ethically sound. Right effort is making a conscious effort to cultivate positive states of mind and overcome negative ones. Anand knew his business practices had not always been ethical. He decided to transform his trade to align with these principles. Right mindfulness, Buddha taught, is maintaining awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and actions in each moment. Right concentration is developing deep focus and meditation to gain insight and clarity. With newfound determination, Anand returned to Vaishali. He immediately began to implement the teachings he had learned. He transformed his business into one that was fair and ethical, ensuring that all his transactions were honest and that his employees were treated with respect and fairness. He also started to speak kindly and truthfully, avoiding gossip and harsh words. Anand's transformation did not go unnoticed. People in Vaishali were amazed at the change in him. He no longer seemed burdened by the need to acquire more wealth. Instead, he radiated a sense of calm and contentment. His business thrived, not just because of his fair practices, but because people were drawn to his newfound integrity and kindness. Despite his busy life, Anand made time for meditation and mindfulness. He practiced being present in each moment, appreciating the simple joys of life. He also made a conscious effort to help others, offering support and kindness wherever he could. His home became a place of refuge for those in need, and he shared his wealth generously with the poor and the suffering. One day, a severe drought struck Vaishali. Crops failed, and people began to suffer from hunger and thirst. Anand knew he had to act. He opened his granaries and distributed food and water to the people, ensuring that no one in the city went hungry. His generosity saved many lives, and the people were deeply grateful. However, not everyone was pleased. Some of Anand's wealthy peers, who had been hoarding their supplies, accused him of squandering his wealth. They confronted him, saying, "Why do you waste your resources on these people? You are ruining yourself." Anand replied calmly, "Wealth is meant to be used for the good of all. What use is my fortune if I do not use it to help those in need? True happiness lies in compassion and generosity, not in hoarding riches." His words silenced his critics, and they began to reflect on their own actions. Many of them, inspired by Anand's example, also started to share their resources and help those in need. One day, as Anand was walking through the market, he noticed a young boy crying. The boy was thin and looked hungry, with tattered clothes and a face stained with tears. Anand approached him and asked gently, "What is wrong, my child?" The boy looked up, his eyes filled with despair. "My parents died in the drought, and I have no one left. I am alone and hungry." Anand's heart ached with compassion. He took the boy's hand and said, "Come with me, you are not alone anymore. I will take care of you." He brought the boy to his home, where he fed him and gave him clean clothes. Anand decided to adopt the boy and raise him as his own. He named him Rajan and taught him the principles of the Noble Eightfold Path. Rajan thrived under Anand's care. He grew up to be a kind and compassionate young man, eager to help others and spread Buddha's teachings. Anand's home became a place of learning and refuge, where people came to seek wisdom and support. Years passed, and Anand felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had transformed his life and found true happiness through compassion, generosity, and mindfulness. He decided to return to the grove where he had first met Buddha, to express his gratitude and seek further guidance. He traveled with Rajan and a small group of followers, eager to see the great teacher once more. When they arrived, they found Buddha surrounded by a group of disciples, teaching under the same Bodhi tree. Anand bowed deeply and said, "Great teacher, I have followed your teachings and found the peace and happiness I sought. I have come to express my gratitude and seek your further guidance." Buddha smiled warmly and said, "Anand, you have walked the path with dedication and sincerity. You have transformed your life and the lives of many others. Continue to live with compassion and mindfulness, and you will continue to inspire and help others find their own path to happiness." Anand and his followers stayed with Buddha for several months, deepening their understanding of the teachings and practicing meditation. Rajan, in particular, was deeply moved by Buddha's wisdom and decided to dedicate his life to spreading the teachings. When they returned to Vaishali, they established a center for learning and meditation, where people from all walks of life could come to learn about the Noble Eightfold Path and seek guidance. Anand's home became a sanctuary of peace and wisdom, a beacon of light in the community. Anand continued to live a life of simplicity and service, finding joy in helping others and spreading Buddha's teachings. His wealth was no longer a source of burden, but a tool for compassion and generosity. He had discovered the true meaning of happiness and fulfillment, and his heart was at peace. Rajan grew into a wise and compassionate teacher, guiding others on the path to enlightenment. Together, they created a legacy of kindness and wisdom that touched countless lives. Anand's transformation and dedication to Buddha's teachings created a ripple effect throughout Vaishali and beyond. People from neighboring villages and cities came to learn from him and Rajan, drawn by the stories of their compassion and wisdom. One such visitor was a young woman named Meera, who had suffered great loss and was searching for meaning in her life. She had heard of Anand's journey from a wealthy merchant to a compassionate disciple of Buddha and hoped to find solace in his teachings. Anand welcomed her warmly and shared his story, explaining how he had found true happiness through the Noble Eightfold Path. Meera listened intently, her heart slowly opening to the possibility of healing and peace. Under Anand's guidance, Meera began to practice mindfulness and meditation. She learned to let go of her attachments and desires, finding peace in the present moment. Gradually, she transformed her grief into compassion and started helping others who were suffering. Meera's transformation inspired others in her village, and soon, a small community of practitioners emerged, dedicated to living by the principles of the Noble Eightfold Path. They created a support network, helping each other through their struggles and celebrating their successes together. As the years passed, Anand grew older, but his spirit remained strong. He had created a legacy of compassion and wisdom that would continue long after he was gone. On his deathbed, surrounded by Rajan, Meera, and many others whose lives he had touched, Anand felt a deep sense of fulfillment and peace. He addressed his followers with a gentle smile. "Remember, true happiness lies within. Live with compassion, mindfulness, and generosity. Continue to walk the path and help others find their way. This is the greatest gift we can give to the world." With those words, Anand closed his eyes and passed away peacefully. His legacy of kindness and wisdom continued to inspire and guide countless others on their journey to enlightenment. Rajan and Meera took up the mantle, continuing to teach and spread Buddha's teachings. They traveled to different villages and cities, sharing the principles of the Noble Eightfold Path and helping people find peace and happiness. Their efforts bore fruit as more and more people embraced the path of mindfulness, compassion, and generosity. Communities flourished, and the teachings of Buddha became a guiding light for many. Rajan, in particular, dedicated himself to helping orphan children, just as Anand had helped him. He created homes and schools for them, providing not only shelter and education, but also teaching them the principles of the Noble Eightfold Path. The children grew up to be compassionate and mindful individuals, continuing the legacy of kindness and wisdom. Mira focused on supporting those who were suffering from loss and grief. She created support groups and meditation centers where people could come to heal and find solace. Her compassion and understanding helped many to transform their pain into peace. Over time, the influence of Anand's teachings and the work of Rajan and Mira created an enlightened society in Vaishali and the surrounding regions. People lived with mindfulness and compassion, supporting each other and working together for the common good. The society thrived, not just materially, but emotionally and spiritually. People were happier, more content, and more connected to one another. The principles of the Noble Eightfold Path became the foundation of their lives, guiding their actions and interactions. As Rajan and Mira grew older, they began to prepare the next generation to carry on the teachings. They identified promising young individuals who showed a deep commitment to the path and trained them to become teachers and leaders. Among them was a young woman named Annika, who had shown remarkable wisdom and compassion from a young age. She had been deeply influenced by the stories of Anand and the teachings of Buddha, and she dedicated herself to learning and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. Rajan and Mira mentored Annika, guiding her development and helping her to become a compassionate and wise leader. When they felt she was ready, they entrusted her with the responsibility of continuing their work. Annika embraced her role with humility and dedication. She traveled far and wide, spreading the teachings and helping people find their own path to happiness. Her compassion and wisdom touched many lives, and she became a beloved teacher and guide. The story of Anand, Rajan, Mira, and Annika is a testament to the power of transformation and the enduring legacy of kindness and wisdom. Through their dedication to Buddha's teachings, they created a ripple effect that spread far and wide, touching countless lives and creating a more compassionate and enlightened society. The Noble Eightfold Path continues to guide people on their journey to true happiness, reminding us that the greatest wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the compassion, mindfulness, and generosity that we cultivate within ourselves. And so, the path of enlightenment continues, passed down from generation to generation, inspiring us all to live with greater awareness, kindness, and peace. In the end, it is not the wealth we accumulate, but the love we share and the compassion we show that creates a lasting legacy of happiness and fulfillment.